What's up everyone, Lance Hedrick here, and today we're going to take a look at the Breville Oracle Jet. Now some of you may know this company as Breville, those in Europe as Sage. Same company, same things that they're putting out. This is their newest machine that they have unveiled. So in today's video, we're going to completely dissect it, giving you the ultimate review of the Oracle Jet. It is $2,000. You heard that right, 2 grand, 2 G's. That's going to scare some of you off. You want to click off the video because this has nothing to do with me. But as always, whenever I review things, there's always ulterior motives. In this, there are some exciting things that I think have wider applications than this machine and the potential applications outside of just the Oracle Jet. Now, for those of you new to the channel, I get quite in depth. And so while this may be a lengthy video, we have time cues below, and I'll start off with more of the softballs, the things that are easy to tee off on that you can follow along easily. And if you're interested, you can continue to watch. Now, before jumping in, I do want to make a big, bold disclaimer. I am and have been working on a secret project with Breville. It is not this, but it is something in the future, so technically that could impact my bias. Now, I have no connection to this machine or to any of the other machines that are out there that I've reviewed, and I will be as critical as I want on this because that's what we do here. We take names, we tick people off. I applaud the effort of having these types of machines out there. You have the auto grind and tamp feature, you have customizable drinks, you have kind of an all-in-one type of situation where there is still that semi-automatic feel to it, but it's close to super automatic as well. But it's kind of their most luxurious machine that's really aimed at a target market of people who want really nice coffee, want the artisanal feel, want to do local roasters or specialty coffee, but don't want to invest a lot of time into the hobby learning how to do all of the different nuances there is to making espresso. Now, I've not actually got my hands on the Ninja Luxe Cafe, but my friend Tom at Tom's Coffee Corner has some incredible videos on it. I highly recommend you checking out. I'll link one of them down in the caption below. Of course, Daddy Hoff has done a review of the Cafe Luxe. You can check his out below as well. This is kind of in a different class with its build quality and with the reputation behind it and with how far they're taking the technology as well as the quality of the output of coffee. First of all, they've ditched the double boilers. What is this? That is a definite downgrade. I need my boilers. That's the only way to get good coffee. That's just not true. You have to heat up all that water in order to get thermal stability, and then you got to let the water go to room temp till the next day. Then you heat it up again, then you let it cool down, then you heat it up again, and blah, 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 ad infinitum, ad nauseum. I just want the water heated up I'm going to use. And I want it done all quickly, efficiently, with less energy consumption. On Breville's benchmark testing back in like November 2022, they found that their system in here, the Thermojet system, was around 30% more energy efficient than thermoblocks, which thermoblocks are more energy efficient quite a bit than boilers. So you have an extremely energy efficient machine right here. Now, because they went away from dual boilers, you now don't have the capability of pulling your shot and steaming milk at the same time. Oh, oy vey, I can't believe I can't steam and brew at the same time. Let's be real, that doesn't really matter. If your shot sits 30 seconds, no, it doesn't die. Whoever told you that is a liar, okay? Or they're just uninformed. They have just one thermojet inside as far as heating up the water for the steam or for the brew head. Now you may ask, why don't they just throw 2 thermojets in there? Well, it's not that simple because the electricity drawn at the time of heating up is too much to pull from the wall if you had 2 full-size thermojets inside. So let's back up actually. What is a thermojet? I know we know thermoblocks, which are those hefty aluminum sometimes types of metal hunks that heats water up quickly. Still takes a couple of minutes. This, however, does it in seconds, 3 to 5 seconds. Powered by... Well, it's made by a company, Ferros Technology, where they make this idea of these coils where it flash heats the water. Breville has taken it and they've kind of copyrighted that name, Thermojet. Now they have taken this technology and they have further iterated on it and created something even cooler. They have miniaturized their thermojet into something about yay big. And this bad boy sits right above the water dispenser, right above that shower screen. A little baby, little cutesy tootsy thermojet. And this bad boy is incredible because it gives you further granularity of control over the water as it's dispensed. And when I say over the water, I mean over the temperature of the water, which means what? Yes, insane thermal stability, and it is now a saturated group in the sense that you have water in that thermojet above it, so it heats everything up rapidly. you have the capability of pulling the shot, and then immediately after, you're going to steam your milk. Now, because it's not a boiler, you can't just open the valve and steam releases because it's just boiling water inside, creating pressure, ready to go. So it's not as simple as a ball valve. You do need to rely on a vibratory pump, and then pumps water through the Thermojet, which is the same as the brew system, and then it comes out as steam within seconds. So when you actuate the steam wand, it will go dum, 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 dum. So same with like your Breville Touch or whatever you might have that has a vibratory pump and some sort of quick heating system that's not a boiler. What they've done that's really cool is they've made an auto queue system. So you can go ahead, fill your milk in your pitcher, put it under the steam wand. You can hit shot, walk away from your machine. I'm doing my nails, I'm cooking my eggs, I'm eating my oats, and I'm being really healthy. And then you walk back, and guess what? The milk is steamed, the shot is pulled, and you just pour. Same with like an Americano. You can pull the shot and then hit water from the hot water, and it'll automatically do it to your desired volume. There was recently this big breakthrough where they took this ultrasonic piece and they put it beside a portafilter, actually inside of a Breville dual boiler, and they had acoustic cavitation happening with pulses going through and caused this cold brew thing. This is all just these vibrations at a certain kind of wavelength that allow for this extraction to happen. And arguably to an extent, it's also just happening here. I'm not saying it's identical to the intense ultrasonic waves that they're pulsing into the modded one that you see on the news, but it is giving you a really nice cold espresso where it is pumping out at a nice pressure around that 9 bar mark at a 35 degree temperature, Celsius of course, and you have cold espresso or you got some cold brew. They now have these capabilities because you can change the temperature at the drop of a hat. Now something else that they've put into this machine that they didn't have in the others is a quad core processor. This allows for an incredible display on the front, which we'll be looking at intensively, as well as the capability of connecting to Wi-Fi for updates to change the software inside, which allows for an improving machine. But of course, you can take it offline and maintain whatever software you have on there, and you have that in perpetuity. As long as the machine is kicking, your machine is able to do whatever was loaded on there, and you're good to go, baby. They've put in the burr set from their Encore ESP, which is one made by Etzinger out in Liechtenstein. It's a very nice burr. I think it does a great job as like an entry-level grinder. I think it does a great job on this, especially for medium to darkly roasted coffees. With light roasted coffees, it does well as well, but if you get really, really light, I'm going to go ahead and point out a con. There is an issue, I think, in the programming where the grinder will stop and say it's overheated, even if it hasn't been grinding at all. If you have a really dense coffee, and I think what's happening is it senses the torque needed is really high, it just says, nope, it's overheated, we're not going to grind. I have to imagine that they have enough torque into account for it to grind through really dense beans. But this did happen on one coffee where it wouldn't even grind even though it was not overheated. It was the first grind of the day and it just wouldn't grind. I took another machine, same thing happened with this specific coffee. If you're doing anything other than just like the craziest of light roasts, this will grind through it, chew through it quite easily. But they've also added more metal parts inside as opposed to plastic to improve alignment as well as the build quality overall. And lastly, their Auto Milq, they have an upgraded system where they have much more complex algorithms in there in order to be able to change, be versatile from milk to milk. So you can program if you have oat milk or coconut milk or whole milk, and it will change how it steams automatically to give you the best texture. Now there is that barista helper like there is on the Touch and Press. This one gives you even like a grind size you should go to, but I'm not really going to deal with that here because honestly it's not that huge of a feature in the sense that the Ninja I know has that and there's other Breville lines with it. It's nice like when you switch from espresso to a cafe creme that it tells you the grind size you should start at. I think that's a really good helper, but in the video I'm not really going to rely on it because again, it does its job, it's fine. So what we're going to do is I have a coffee in here. To be honest, Breville really pushes for you to use local roasters, specialty coffee, and in fact, they kind of even say it in their tutorial when you start the machine up. But because I know not everyone will do that, though I really hope if you have $2,000 to spend, you're going to buy nicer coffee. But anyway, you can either hit the portafilter to start grinding, or you can do the more fun tactile, bada bing. So you'll hear the burr spinning, and then the beans drop in. Now it doses volumetrically, okay? There's no scale in here. What it's doing is based off the depth of the basket. So they have a specific basket in here, and they're wanting it to be at a certain point below the rim of the basket. That is a very important thing to know. Now also, it's not the most quiet thing in the world. I wish they worked a little harder on dampening the sound. But as it's dispensing, there is an auger in place, just like on the old Oracle, and it distributes the coffee and tamps it down. Is the distribution great? Absolutely not. If you want to distribute your own coffee, that's fine. You just take the auger completely out. If you want different doses in your basket, I don't recommend it. You get better extraction efficiency when you do ideal doses for basket sizes and their own geometries. You can do that by changing the depth of the auger. That's what's dictating where the coffee is going to go in relation to where the portafilter is placed. That's why it can dose well based off of a single shot basket or the double shot. I don't recommend singles because they're going to give you worse extractions. We have our coffee. It's dosed. It's tamped. It's ready to go. There's some loose coffee, but it's all Gucci. Toss this in, and then we're going to get our cup, and we're going to pull a shot. You can do a single shot, a double shot, or custom, which allows you to slide based off of volume. So it goes from ristretto to single plus, to double plus, to lungo, and then to lungo plus. This is a wide variety of shots, and there's no way to give you a grammage, a weight, gravimetric as to what they're going to weigh, because all different coffees will absorb different amounts of water, will have different doses in the portafilter. If I were to take that portafilter and weigh it with this coffee, it's about 23 grams. Some coffees may weigh 21. It depends on the density of the coffee, etc. I'm going to do just a single plus. This will give me around a 40 gram output, maybe 45 gram output. So it's kind of just under a 1 to 2, which for a dark roast coffee is okay with me. So then we just click this button and we start. Now, as you hear, the pump starts, it pushes water through the thermojet, and then it flash heats it. So we have a few seconds of flash heating going on right now, and then we're in the pre-infusion phase. It was faster than I thought. So it pre-infuses for 7 seconds at a percentage of pump pressure. So it pre-infuses, and then boom, full pressure kicks on, and you see the graphic change from nothing to a little bit of espresso coming out of those spouts. I underestimated the amount of water that the grounds would actually absorb. So we'll actually switch this to a double shot so we can get a bigger shot out, and then we'll come back here and we'll just change the grind size down to, I don't know, let's say 24. Like, that's probably an 8th turn, and it's not changing the number. So there is play in this, which is not ideal, because if you dial something in at 24 and then you want to go back to 24 another day, well, where were you? An 8th turn or not? Are you a quarter turn? Like, what is it? We don't really know. So I wish they had more granularity. I know, again, that the customer for this is going to be someone who doesn't know that much about coffee and is just wanting something simple, and more numbers is confusing. But that is a pretty big wiggle area to not really account for, if that makes sense. But anyway, let's go ahead. We'll pull one more shot, and we'll call it good on this coffee. So a nice update they did recently is that you can now double tap the icon, and it will purge whatever you're double tapping. So if you want to purge the grinder, we double tap. Spins the burrs, it releases a little coffee, and it's purged. Obviously, as we change grind size, it will change the weight of the coffee in the basket, which is going to therefore affect the amount of grams that come out. So they are trying to simplify the process, and you don't have nearly as much control whenever you're relying on the auto dose and tamp. But that's not necessarily a bad thing depending on who you are. And we hit double. What you see on this graphic is really nice. During pre-infusion, right now it's heating up the water, now it's pre-infusion, you don't see any droplets coming into the cup because it's pre-infusion. There shouldn't be any drops coming out. Then it visually signals you when drops should come out. So mine came out before this signaled for it to come out. That might signal to a home barista, hey, maybe I should go finer to slow down the water going through the puck so it doesn't release during pre-infusion. And that would be a pretty accurate estimation. Now, I actually don't mind this shot time. This is about a 26-second shot, and it's a 36 gram output. So that to me looks about right. This is a darker roasted coffee. I'm just not used to pulling them this darkly. With lighter roasted coffees, they're not absorbing as much of that water. They're letting more of the water through. The puck erodes a bit more. And so you get a bit more output with lighter roasted coffees on the double shot than you do with these darker. Now, as you see, there's loads of crema on this. You know, I know some of the people new to the channel may still have this idea that you need a really good machine to make crema. No, you just need freshly roasted coffee and or dark roasted coffee. The darker the coffee, the more crema will be produced even when it's way off of roast. Now, if it's a year off roast, you're just SOL, but most of what you're looking for with crema is just freshly roasted. I mean, that's a lot of crema, okay? I don't want to hear anything. Don't at me. Now, of course, I pull a shot. You know, I got to drink it. This ain't my jam, people, but I do it for you. It's really good. All right, let's move on to the next thing as my eyes are glazed over in disgust. Now next up, I'm going to put a much lighter roast in. This is not ultra light, but this is quite light. I think this is probably as light as anyone with this machine might ever get. I can't imagine someone doing much lighter who has this machine. Now, why do I keep saying that? It's because when you get to the ultra light roasts, like the one I use that, you know, stall this machine, that's a very small percentage of the population that drinks specialty coffee. And I would imagine most of them, again, are people that are, you know, using like a flare lever machine at home or have their own type of grinder that they spend all their money on because they realize grinder is the most important thing. When you're using, you know, a grinder of this caliber or something, you're likely using, you know, a bit more easy to dissolve, easy to grind type of beans, which this works for. But anyway, let's go ahead. I'm going to switch the grind size down because with lighter roasts, I need a finer grind. I'm going to go down to about 14. And again, there's a lot of playing. I really don't like how this knob feels. I wish it was smoother. It's really tight and it feels kind of, feels like it's scratching kind of. Not a huge fan, but we're going to go ahead and purge some coffee. There we have it. It smells really nice. It's a Kenya coffee. We're going to go ahead and plop it in. You can change a pre-infusion by holding down the espresso icon until the word manual pops up. Then you click on it and it'll pre-infuse as long as you want, up to 12 seconds until you click it again, or it will automatically move on to full infusion once you hit that time. So we had a 46 gram output. So as you see, we had just shy of 40 grams on the last one. This one's 46 grams, and it's because there's a great difference between the solubility of the coffees. You know, we're gonna use the Hoff spoon because we cannot let him down. It's not as good to stir. It's better to go back and forth, all right? So we do what the silver-haired fox tells us to do, all right. It's a little sour, but it's actually much better than I thought it would be. Coarser grounds and faster shots actually have a higher extraction efficiency. Therefore, you may actually have really nice tasting shots if it runs a lot faster than what you're expecting it to or what this internet tells you to do. So keep that in mind whenever you're pulling espresso. If one pulls in 20 seconds, it may be the best dang thing you've ever had. It may be lacking body a bit. As you see, there's not much crema on this, but that's no fault of the machine. That is the coffee itself. It's 2 months off roast because that's where I like lighter roasted coffees. There's not much crema because the crema is better, okay? I don't want no crema. But you can have your crema and you can enjoy it, and guess what? I love you all the same. I tell you what, I'm going to be hyped up after this video. Okay. And you may think, oh, Lance, you're already hyped. How many espressos before? Guess what? I know I had 1 cup of coffee before. But that's it. I swear. What we have here is a Skase device named after Gregory Skase, who created this back in the early 2000s. This bad boy is kind of like a silicone piece that emulates a puck, and then you have a thermoprobe sticking right there to kind of give you an emulation of the puck as well as what the temperature of the water is coming out. And then we have it hooked up to my Fluke thermometer, which is my baby. You will never see me without it. That's not true, but it's sort of true, but not really. We can actually come back, go to settings, we can scroll down to temperature settings, and we can change it all the way down from 86 up to 96. I understand the intended market. I get it. It's people who don't want that much control because it's intimidating. But I wish that they gave you the capability to go down to 30 degrees on here. That would be really freaking cool. And then you can have a little bit more control. And again, this is all firmware stuff, and because they have that quad-core processor, it's a possibility in the future. We're going to put espresso in manual mode. So as I said before, you just hold down the espresso icon and the word manual pops up. Now it's going to run as long as I want, essentially. Something that's really important to note, though, when I'm doing this temperature test is first, this is cold. It's not heated up. So I'm just going to run a few in a row and you're going to kind of see the numbers. But the other thing that's really important to note, and something I actually like, is during the pre-infusion, the temperature is actually a little bit lower. Now, it might be because the water's going through a little slower through the thermojet, and that causes a little something something. It sits closer to like 88 to 90 or so during the pre-infusion, and then it goes up to its desired temperature during the actual infusion. So right when the pressure hits, it goes up. Now, because we have two thermojets inside and lots of complex algorithms and temperature sensing going on, you have really quick kind of changes. When it sees it drifts up, it will quickly change it and revert the course. And it's changing, it's like an equilibrium between these two bits. So that's what we're going to kind of see. Remember, the first shot, maybe two, might be a little less because it needs to heat everything up, but that's just to give you an idea. So let's put this case in. Oh yeah, that's the way. That probe is already reading like 50 degrees. That means inside that portafilter, it's radiating enough heat that probe is reading this temperature. But anyway, let's go ahead and start. So it's going to manually do pre-infusion. I'm going to go continue at 7 seconds to give you an idea of what your typical person is going to be experiencing. So pre-infusion has started. We're at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll go to full infusion now. So as you see, it was a lower temp because everything was cold, but it is building up. We're at about 15 seconds and we're already at about 90 degrees, which is really nice. But as we keep running it, you see we're up to 92, 91.9, 91.8. So it's going down. It read maybe something a little higher inside the machine, inside the sensor. Obviously, my sensor is not where their sensor is. So it read something that made it think it needs to go back down. But now we're at 92.6, 92.5, and it's going back down a little bit. But it's going to go back up a little bit. There you go. This is super impressive. So it's going up, and it's going to catch the drift. And look, it walks it back down. Look at this. This is absurd. We're at 49 seconds. And it's staying between 92 and... Oh, here we go. It's drifting up. It's going to catch it, though. It's going up. And here we go. It walks it back down. It walks it back down. It walks it back down. That is wild. That is some insane temperature control. I've been doing really like back-to-back shots because a lot of people think with these thermojets they overheat and they do all this stuff. But we're about to see what that's like. And again, I'm going to give it 7 seconds just like a normal shot because I don't want it to be too skewed from what your normal use case will be. So we're at 3, 4, 5, 6. As you see, it's at 88 or so. There, we're at 7 seconds. We'll go to full infusion. 88 degrees, but boom, it's going to go up to 93. So it's at 91.5, but it will immediately react and climb back up. With these new like thermoblocks and stuff, they tend to really overheat. This, you saw earlier, it went to 94, but it quickly de-escalated, sitting at 92.5. Look at that. And we're 41 seconds into the shot. 92.6, 92.7. That's stupid. 93.1. Now, the reason I say that the pre-infusion temperature is not an issue, because you may say, yes, it is, we need full stability throughout. Cooler blooms or cooler pre-infusions are actually a good thing. Now, of course, 4 degrees, is that really going to make a difference? No. But if you could have like a, 60, 70, 80 degree bloom, that will make a big difference in the amount of volatile organic compounds that are retained. It's kind of like that whole frozen ball thing. If you're privy to that information, it sounds dirty, but it's not, I promise. But it's this idea of maintaining volatile organic compounds early in the extraction. You can do the same thing, the same effect with a cooler bloom. Even other ones that have thermojets in Breville's line have that tendency of going up a little too much. This one, it seems like it's fixed, and it's probably because of that thermojet. And I'm hoping that they apply this to other machines going forward. That would be the dream, because I know that thing isn't very expensive to make. So let's hope that this is a new standard, because it is awesome. You have some companies doing cartridges, heated cartridges in the group head. Okay, that helps a little bit, but it still doesn't really help when that thermal mass is heated up completely and you need to drop temperature. So that's really freaking neat. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to dump this, and we're going to test the cold espresso. I'm going to scroll over to cold espresso. Purge, because I mean there's hot water still from the thermojet in there, right? There's still hot water. I'm gonna get rid of that. Purge is like, I don't know, probably 10-15 grams. I'm not sure, I've not measured that actually. But let's go ahead and boom. So that's with one purge after it was really hot. We're at 93. So it's gonna take a second to go down all the way, but we're riding down, baby. And it should bottom out at around 35 or so. But here we go, it does a bloom. So as you hear, the pump is stopped, and this is just residual water coming through. And again, we're gonna pull this shot in a second, but I wanted to show you the temperature. It does a little, it seems like each time it has a little bit of a warmer bloom, but we're about to go. There we go, at 30 seconds, boom. Now we get the full pressure kick in, and the temperature should plummet all the way down to about 35 or so. Nice. It's like lukewarm. It's a little warmer than lukewarm, but yeah, there we are at 35. But now, like, further shots, you could always purge a full shot, but further shots should now be closer to that 35. It's going to heat up a little bit for that bloom. Maybe not. It's still around that 35 to 37. So here we go. It's going down 36, 35, 35, 34.9, 34.8. It's not that much of a difference when you're getting this low. The granularity really matters when you're super high because that's when you can cause it to be more bitter or less bitter. But anyway, it's in that mid-30 range. And the cold brew, we're not going to run through that because it's a 3-minute thing, but it does a decent amount of liquid, 1, 2, or 300 mils, and it takes like 3 minutes. And it goes down a little lower, even to like 31 that I tested. But it's a longer process, and it does okay. I'm not a huge cold brew fan, so you may love it. But the cold espresso, I think, is worth trying out right here. So let's do that real quick. Let's do 9. We'll grind that. I didn't purge. Whoops. It should be fine. All right, we got our coffee ready. Bada bing, bada boom. All ready to go. Let's place it in. We can change size, of course. We can do the single shot, the double shot, and if we hit info, I mean, this tells you everything you want to know. It tells you single is about a 30 mil output, double is about a 60 mil output, lungo is a 90 mil. So it gives you these ideas. We'll just do double just to, be standard, be basic, whatever. Then we'll just click go. Bang. So, of course, you can create your own custom recipes. You cannot control and dial in your pre-infusion. That always has to be manual, which hopefully they change that again in the future, that you should be able to do something with that. But anyway, we just pumped in the pre-infusion. We have some liquid coming out. It's sitting at like 2-3 bar for the pre-infusion, and so the pressure is dissipating out the bottom of the basket, but it does give you that nice bloom effect. So it's blooming right now, and at 29-30 seconds, it will hit the full infusion, full pump power onto the puck. So there we go. Very cool. So of course we'll measure the temp of what the coffee is in the actual cup, because that's a good thing to know for cold espresso. But this is something you can put in iced lattes and it won't water down the ice. This is something that you can just drink if you want to down something real fast. You can add it to lots of different cocktails and things like that, but it's going to give you a very different expression of the coffee than hot espresso, obviously. A lot less emulsification going on. You still get a thick beverage. You're going to get some of this like crema-looking substance from the pressure, but this is what we have. Let's go ahead and put this in, and the temperature we're sitting at is around 38 degrees. Let's do a little tasty taste. Now I am going to swirl this one because I don't care. All right. The aroma is not as pungent as hot espresso, but it is still very much there, and mostly I'm smelling like tangerine acidity. So it is a Kenya, so you expect grapefruit, tangerine, things like that. It's very much like lukewarm. So when I taste it, I don't even feel the liquid really on my tongue. The texture is very much, I mean, it's like, this sounds vulgar, but it's very much like a well-hydrated person's saliva. That's what it, because it feels like nothing was on my tongue, because the temperature, it didn't feel cold, it didn't feel warm, it didn't feel hot, it just kind of matched my room temp. It's interesting though. It's actually quite well balanced. It doesn't taste sour. It's not bitter at all. It's a very unique sensation. But it's something where now, because this has those capabilities, I wish we had the capability of blooming at 50 degrees and then ramping up to 93, which I know a Ferro system can do because I got the Unica people to do it. Granted, that's an $8,000 or $9,000 machine, but this has the capability. Of course, again, I understand that's not the market, but I'm hoping that with this tech, maybe there's something else coming. I don't know, but there's too much here that we could play with as nerds, all right? Because obviously if you're watching right now, you're a nerd with me. And there's so much fun and flavor that we can unlock because we want to go to Flavor Town with our windows down and sing our hands in the sky. We hop in the car in Flavor Town and we start to drive around. Everything we do is for the taste. Don't let it go to waste. You know what I'm saying? Thanks, Miley Cyrus. All right. So next up, we're going to check out the auto milk system. I'm going to use 3 different milks. I'm going to use a little bit of oat. That's just store-bought, no name brand, nothing insane. I'm going to use 2% milk, and I'm going to use whole milk. And essentially, I'm going to use the settings in this machine. The foam level, I think, is good for latte art. And essentially, you're going to see how it steams as well as how they pour so that you can have a good understanding of if this thing works well or not. And we will reconvene right after that demonstration. So because we now have the thermoprobe inside of the steam wand, we don't have to use their Breville pitcher, which those suck. So we can use our own pitchers because it's measuring the temperature of the milk inside. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to just put that right on there. Put that thing back where it came from, so help me. I'm just going to place it right there. No worries. Now I'm going to get my coffee ready. Yep, I need to get it ready. We're going to grind that up. I put in the dark roasted coffee just so we have a little bit of thicker crema for that latte art. And then we're going to pull the shot and go. The whole milk and 2% are incredible, honestly, as good as I can steam, and you have enough changeability. You can change the temperature and the foam setting, all that good stuff on the machine. Oat milk was not nearly as good as what I can steam with this one. Now, I was using a store-bought oat milk. That's just a cheap one. That's not Barista series. But that, that's what most people are likely going to buy, is just something from the store. They're not going to buy a Barista series oat. I'm sure with a Barista series that might have more fats or more certain proteins in it that will help produce the foam would do a better job. But the plant-based options are not nearly as dialed, and it's likely because, where they're R&D in this in Australia, they may not have all the options. It may work for the ones they have locally, but anyway, I do think the auto milk is fantastic. I will say I do really like the new water inlet at the front. This is a great option. Now, the one that was on the Breville dual boiler, for instance, oftentimes gets kind of stuck and is annoying. This one is built really well. I like it a lot more, and the imagery on it really cracks me up. Do not put milk in here. I mean, I hope you're not that silly. Silly Billy. Of course, you still have the water tank from the back, which we'll pull out briefly. Now, keep in mind, and I think this is a good thing, but unlike old iterations, especially the dual boiler, they now have this lid on it, which is a good addition. Now, I am so used to filling up the other machines that whenever I pull this out, I have poured water onto this lid. Not a couple of times. No, it was just 2 times. But don't do that. They have a little area here with a little sieve so that you can pour water in, and hopefully your water is not that sketchy that you need a sieve, but it is there just in case. But anyway, that's where you have it. As you notice, I don't have the water filter in mind, but it's because I use baller water. I have a full filtration system going on, but for those of you at home that don't, please use the filter that they provide and keep it updated with the water hardness test that they provide with the machine. All of it is right here in this system. Easy peasy. Now here's my water with the water spigot. It is right back here, bada bing bada boom, right there. Now it shoots out water very slowly and it's in droplets. It's not a laminar style pour. Now let's imagine you have a big old shot of espresso and you want to dilute it with some water. We put it right down here and we say, give me the hot water. Rain down on me. Give me the hot water. Vibratory pump starts and boom. Now watch, as it comes out, look at all the spraying, the splattering. It's all over the back of the machine. It's going everywhere. It's pretty messy. I wish that they had maybe more of a directly down thing or maybe more of a laminar flow or something along those lines, because this is just a little too messy for me and my tastes. Watch this. Now, I didn't know the auger was going to pop out like that, but this is what the auger looks like. And there's a decent amount of retention that builds up on this. And as you saw, retention inside of this, I put my finger up in there and look at this. Okay, so there's going to be quite a bit of retention. I feel the actual auger, the spinning piece that's up there, and as I put my hand up in there, I mean, hello Harvard, yo. I would recommend maybe plopping it out and cleaning it off every so often, especially if you use darker roasted coffees, because that oily, grimy stuff is going to get all up on it. But essentially, this is what we have working in there. So this is what is spinning and trying to level that coffee and tamp it down, and this is essentially what's doing it. So as it keeps spinning, it's pressurizing it down, so you don't have like a tamper in there like on the Impress. This continues to spin down, and it kind of shaves it down until it's at its certain depth where it gives some resistance on it. So you just put it back up in there, it's magnetized on, so it comes out and in really easily. And then I guess lastly, the last thing that I'll say is the drip tray is actually a pretty decent size, so you don't need to really worry about it. It does have its nice little toggle saying, hey, dump me, and you're like, all right, bae, I'll dump you. And now that we're down here with the drip tray off, you can actually see this little lever, which is really nice. This lever, you put it to the side and look at this. You go, hey-oh, it's good to go. So that's actually really nice. It does feel a little bit cheaper than the previous one, but it's much easier to feel and it's much easier to just slide over. You just slide it over, you move it around on your counter. Everything about this machine screams kind of like premium or luxury because it does things for you. It tells you, hey, don't forget to do this. Wipe down the steam wand. Hey, it's going to purge. You better watch out. Hey, you ran out of water. Hey, you probably need to go finer if you have the Barista trainer on. Change the water filter, water hardness test, really making sure that you pay attention to that. You can change the brightness of the machine. You can make the machine ding whenever it's made its drink. You can turn the sound off. You can go to factory settings. You know, there's lots of options in here, and it's only going to continue to improve with software updates going into the future. How far into the future? Who really knows? But as for now, I think even with the current software, it is a really cool machine. Now, as we end this video, is it worth $2,000? Well, of course, as always, worth is in the eye of the beholder and the person with the wallet and the person with the coin. Would I buy this for $2,000? Of course not. Why would I buy this machine? I do my things manually. I mean, it wouldn't make sense for me to have this machine. I've got multi-$1,000 grinders that I much prefer, and I use lever machines. That's my preferred way of pulling espresso. But for those of you at home who want to have artisanal coffee and want to have something that looks pretty good and that does all the jobs, I mean, yeah, this does a great job. I've not used the Ninja Cafe Luxe. I can't speak about it. I know that there have been good things and bad things said about it. So I know that this is going to be a direct comparison, even though they're on two completely different price points. But again, that's why I reference you to Tom's Coffee Corner to check out his video on it. Now, I know this is a long video, put a lot of work and a lot of time into it. So I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. And, you know, that would just be fantastic. Also, check out my Patreon where I do a lot of cool competitions where people get the machines that I get on this channel, including this one as well as the Breville one that I have. Yes, I have one for 110 voltage and 220 voltage. So people will be getting those through competitions on my Patreon. So check that out if you want to enjoy that and get in the Discord and have some fun, fruitful conversations. But anyway, that's about it. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Thank you for listening to my verbose rantings, and I hope that it was all very helpful, especially if you're in the market for something like this, or you're just curious on the growing technology application in the coffee sector of the market. I hope you brew something tasty today, and cheers.